afternoon. Welcome back to Central Valley Talk Live. I'm Austin Reed, coming to you from our Tower District studios inside the Mike Briggs building. Thank you for joining us. Our first guest here in the 1 o'clock hour, you see her next to me. This is Susie Harder. And Susie, you are a speech language pathologist, and many people here in the Central Valley also know you as the founder and director of the Central Valley Stuttering Center. But you have a book publishing project hoping to help kids across the area. So, can you tell us what this is all about?
Yes. And thanks for having me today, Austin. I always love when I get to be on. And I get to do kind of under speech pathology, we get to empower kids and we get to talk to kids and have great conversations and help build their communication. And I get to do that in a different way. And it started last year when the kids in my hometown community where the Creek Fire was lost their homes. And we were kind of like, okay, what are we going to do to really rally around these kids? And my problem-solving solution was, okay, well, you know what, let's create a book, and it will be about a girl and her dog, and they're going to go on a hike and come back, and the dog's doghouse is burnt. And we're going to travel this journey together as a group and look at the, kind of the power of community and rebuilding and what really matters, and kind of travel this journey together. But I'd never published a book before. So it's kind of like, okay, well, let's dive in. We'll do it together as a giant team. And so then by spring of last year, we had gathered a group of kids from 41 states and 26 countries that had come together to help build this book that we got to tell, our kids here locally, your book was a #1 bestseller in 4 categories and, all these things. And 100% of the proceeds went toward kids who lost home. And so then after that, all the kids, of course, right away are kind of like, okay, what's next? What book do we get to do next? And at that point, we were kind of traveling into summer, and like, okay, well, here we have all of these concerns about kids post-pandemic and in academic and social emotional, and we have teachers that are really overwhelmed and really burnt out. And if we have a model that we know is really engaging to kids, how can that be helpful this year in the school setting and really bring in a lot of those key pieces that we have concerns about? And so I built out the model for Authorable, and each year we create and publish a new children's book, and all of the classrooms for the schools that are participating get to be involved behind the scenes, and we make decisions, and they get my video messages once a week of kind of like the updates. And last week we decided the cover vote, we decided the front cover together, and it's just been so much fun.
Tell me a little bit about, you've been on the show here before, and you've discussed kind of the importance of reinforcing strong character traits in kids. Can you explain a little bit more about that, and then how you built that into this school-based platform?
Yeah, those are my heart's that engage kids and show through a positive role model. This is how things work well. And so when things are hard, here's how that looks in the real world. And let's take kind of the things that we're seeing that are struggles right now for kids and, in a sense, parallel those. And so it's kind of under this journey of a book publishing project, but really it's all the things that we all experience. And so the first part, we have a lesson about getting started on something and kind of the perspective of how big you're letting it be before you get started, and kind of that task initiation piece. And so with writing, it's kind of like we have this part, but in real life, that's happens all the time. It's kind of like, I have this thing, now I have to get started on it. And then you move into, okay, now I'm moving, but now I run into a problem. Okay, so how do we show creative problem solving? How do we show collaboration? How do we show really sticking with something? And so each page of the book has its own lesson built in, and we travel through the character, but really we have through the video messages and the activities that teachers get to do, it's kind of like we get to have all these mini life lessons that are built out. in these little kind of bite-sized pieces, but in a really powerful way. And so that to me is kind of the heart of everything I do. And as a speech pathologist, as an author, as now the author or the founder of Authorable, it's kind of like, how can we best help kids feel seen and heard and inspired? And then how do we take these things that we would love for them to have an experience with and then do it in real life together?
Now, also, you're working with a school in London? What's that about?
Oh my gosh, Austin, the momentum of, I'm just such a firm believer of when you do good things with good people, it just continues to evolve the way that it should. And I get contacted all the time by different schools. And so I got an email, I don't know, it's probably been a few months now. And it was the director at this school, this private school in London, and they're kind of like, we are hearing about what you're doing. Because what we had done was we did a local book signing event, and because my whole thing is celebrating kids, and I'm not trying to be the hero, I want them to be the hero. And so look at this book that you helped create, and all of these proceeds are going back into your community. What a great... So we had just done a book signing event, and the first grader that I had sitting there next to me during the book signing, and she was kind of like the featured author next to me, her story from being there at the book signing event got picked up and was in the UK. And so then they call, and then, here I am doing a Zoom classroom visit with these amazing kids in London, and they gave like this chant about what we're doing and how helpful it is, and like best thing in America, and they were just so excited. And just in general, that's the response that we're getting from, and even teachers that are kind of like, no more things, I don't want anything. And then I'll send a video of kind of like, it's kind of like a classroom author visit. Like, your guest speaker, you take a break for a second. I'm going to come in, kind of like a motivational speaker, a classroom, author visit, and just take over your class and really inspire your kids. And they'll email right after that first one of kind of like, oh my gosh, this is truly the first time I felt joy this year. My kids are so excited. And it's just such a good group of people that we get to be pulling together.
I want to talk more a little bit about Authorable. It's been evolving and has support from Fresno State, United Way, and a variety of educational nonprofits. Now, you were now nominated for Program of the Year and were recognized by the California State Assembly for your positive impact on kids this year. And then I hear you were also accepted just this week into the Founders Institute of Silicon Valley.
Yeah, it's when you have so many good people, again, coming together, our team is just so strong, and it's kind of like all of these doors keep opening. And when I fast forward to, where we are aiming to be 15 years from now, we have an ambitious goal of at least half, but over half is really the goal, of all kids in the U.S. will have an opportunity to help publish a book to benefit their local community. And as we're building out the model, it's kind of like all of these pieces, people in this, so we're building out a whole next generation teacher portal, and we have so many people behind the scenes that have been extraordinary in just seeing the value of what this brings. And, to kids, it's kind of like, oh, you get to be involved in publishing a book. So they get, kind of their message is, from the teacher. We have a best-selling children's book author that sent us a message today, and I think she has a question for our class. Should we see? And then the teacher presses play, and then I'm there and okay, I'm working on the front cover for our book, and there's a lot of, here's kind of the process of how it goes, but here's something that I'm really kind of curious about. So if we have, if our characters are in the middle, that makes them bigger and kind of more of a feature, but really we don't have a lot of room for the title. So if we push them kind of over to so let's do a vote and send in your vote. Let me know what you're thinking, and then we pull everything together. And so it's just really fun and easy on that side, and it feels so simple because it's kind of like, we get to be and then it helps our community. Amazing. And then really behind the scenes, we have all the things us grown-ups are concerned about for our youth right now. And so everyone that's involved is kind of like, wow, there's so much here. We're really fortunate to have so many good people behind us.
We've got about 30 seconds left, but I wanted to ask you real quick before we go, you've got a new book, possibly?
Yes. So each summer we survey teachers and principals and say, what is it that kids need right now? And then we build out the theme for the book for the following year. And this summer, principals said, the one thing kids don't have right now is hope. And so we're kind of like, okay, so we built out our theme. So it's called Where's My Wish? And we are nearing the stage of publication. So our pilot sites, they will have first access to it, and then all the proceeds go to their local community.
Very good, very exciting. How can people, if maybe a school wants to get involved, best way to reach out to you?
Yes. So authorable.com has all of our information. I'm available, email Susie at authorable.com. We get to, over this next month, select 100 schools from across the country, like private schools, public schools, charter schools, and find some really good teams to help build this out with us next year. And so anyone who's watching, I would love to consider your team and to possibly have you involved in our book next year.
Very good. Contact Susie Harder. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Austin. I appreciate it.
All right, I'm Austin Reed. You're watching Central Valley Talk.